And the other thing about, having a season or having limits on trapping seasons for predators, it was proposed a few years ago. Did you know that? Did you know that Mark Ellenwood proposed having limits on foxes trapped, etc.? I don't see any head nods, so I guess nobody knew about that. But he did. And I don't know what's changed since then, Dan. Mark proposed it back then, and the population is still declining. I don't know why you're not proposing it again. And when I was at a commissioner meeting during the time that it was proposed, there was a trapper in the room, and he said he killed 35 foxes in 2 or 3 weeks. 35 foxes. That is not management. That is market hunting. And we ended market hunting years ago because we were losing animals. So we need to stop market hunting predators, allowing trappers to kill as many as they want. I ask you to put a season limit, or better still, just stop all predator killing. And you have an opportunity to do something good for society by doing that, by controlling the rat population, the mice population, that people get Lyme disease. One of the trappers who was opposed to the rodenticide meeting, he even mentioned typhus. I don't think we're going to get that bad in rats, but we might. I don't know. He's the one who said it. Trapper who said it. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak. Oh, sorry.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Anybody who hasn't had a chance to comment that would like to make one?
Thank you. Beth Marino from Goffstown. Just have a few comments on some of the things I've heard tonight, especially about fair chase hunting, baiting and hounding. We're always being told, don't feed the bears, don't feed wildlife, because it just habituates them to humans, and they're just kind of become a nuisance. And yet, we allow baiting of bears. You're telling us not to feed them, but you're feeding them with the intent of, luring them into an area and killing them. I see, and then the ones who don't get killed, the lucky ones, all of a sudden they're habituated to human food, and they're going to go out looking for it, possibly. Could possibly become a problem. But I'm just saying that I see a problem with that. As far as hounding goes, terrifying an animal, having it chased by baying dogs up a tree, if it can get up a tree, it just doesn't, again, that's not fair chase hunting. That's using other animals to get other animals. Do you know what I mean? It's not fair chase hunting. And it just, I've seen pictures of the dogs at the bottom of the tree, and the bear at the top of the tree, and the hunter pointing the gun at the bear. How is that fair? It's not. Also, and I hear people talk about how the GPS keep their dogs under control, and they know where they are, and they keep them safe, and their family members. Their family members don't send them into a situation whereby they are in danger. That's what you're doing. And using the GPS and following the dogs to whatever prey you're after, again, is not fair chase hunting. A lot of people like to go out in the woods and hike and enjoy nature, but because there are hunting seasons for every creature, year-round practically, and at night, it's dangerous to go out in the woods, to hike, to do anything, to walk your dogs, because there's always somebody out there with a gun, or a bow and arrow, or some weapon, because they're trying to kill coyote, or this, or that, or something else that happens to be in season. So it's, it's not fair to the rest of us. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody have additional comments?
3 minutes isn't enough when you're nervous. I did have some more facts that I wanted to give out. I wasn't the first rabid bobcat attack in this state, but by golly, I wanted to be the last. And really, transparency, it should be publicized when bobcats are being killed in the road, when they're, being caught in traps and disposed of. This stuff shouldn't be secret. Massachusetts took 97 in their season 21 to 22. Maine took 355 in their season in 21-22. Vermont in 21-22 was not reported, but in 19 and 20, they took 104. The Fish and Game has the responsibility, it says on their website, to manage. That is the key. We're not guardians, we're guardians of everybody, our fellow man, our fellow rat, okay? I don't care what it is, we need management. And if the raccoons aren't getting rabies anymore because there's not enough raccoons, then where does the rabies go? Into the next overpopulated thing. That's what part of management is. I don't think it's normal for bobcats to be getting rabies. Okay, thank you.
I had one more thing on the nuisance trapping piece. For those of you who don't know and this is addressed to you guys know, they don't, but the bobcat that I do catch, I have to release back into the wild, so it then becomes somebody else's problem after it had been trained to cue on somebody's residence, whether it's their small game, their mice, their birds, their squirrels, if they're bird feeder, whatever it may be. So those are catch and release animals, just so you're aware. They don't get dispatched. And that's pretty much it.
I want to thank you for allowing me to share my concerns. I appreciate it. One thing that I want to emphasize, I live in the town of Stoddard. 65% of that town is permanently protected, okay, by private landowners. I'm also chairman of the Stoddard Conservation Commission. I've been that way for 25 years. So I have my pulse on the community. These rules that you've made are for 4% of the population in this state, okay? So my concern is that many of the landowners who have donated this land, who make it available to sportsmen to hunt on, if they were here today, they would not be in favor of the open season on coyotes. They would not be in favor of hounding and baiting bears. And I think you need to appreciate that, because one of these days, there's going to be one of these topics that's going to become a lightning rod, like the bobcat season was a few years ago. And I can proudly say that I was part of that, because I got 35 conservation commissions to write letters, getting the public and you to retract that ill-conceived hunt. They'll do it again if you give them the right message, and I'm working hard at crafting messages that link sustainable forestry with the importance of predators, and getting the Fish and Game Commission to rethink what you're doing. Broaden your representation. People like me who do not hunt have been your supporter over the years by making lands available. But we feel like we're not being listened to. We feel like we've got some real concerns that aren't being included in these rules. And when you look at the importance of the forest industry, and the fact that there's this big void, that nobody's talking about the role of predators, because foresters don't want to upset, hunters and the sportsmen, and biologists who are trying to work to get the commission to come along, haven't been able to do it effectively enough. And so this is a plea to just, listen to people like me who are trying to help you out to be a better agency for the Fish and Game Department. Thank you for your time.
My name's Paul Hinkle, and my wife and I live here in Keene, at the north end, right on the border of the woods. And we're leaders of a hiking group that we have 60 people on our email list. Typically, we put a dozen people out about twice a week out hiking. I would speak to you and tell you that we support conservation efforts, and we think that's of benefit to everybody in having more conservation land. We also support the non-game efforts there at the state level. Okay. We would urge that you allow and make rules so that there is less pressure on the predator species, and that you manage deer maybe a little more closely. We think there's an overbrowsing of deer that's affecting the forest. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you for keeping things civil. We appreciate it. Have a good night, and remember, you can still submit comments through email or written comments.